Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day number 446, May the 15th, 2023. We are here as usual with the update. Been quite a weekend unfold in Ukraine, and many things have happened today. We're going to be talking about them, covering them, and getting them to the closest update possible at the time. 9:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:02 p.m. California, 4:02 a.m. local in Ukraine. Once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, doing all of that stuff, joining the Patreon. We're nonstop, and much is appreciated. So this has been a personal weekend for us. Our home city was struck. I almost went live this weekend to show it, but needed to wait for the information to clear, for us to gather more facts. And now, due to the waiting, I am even able to show you the video, and you can see exactly what happened in our home city of Khmelnytskyi. But before that, let's jump in tonight, and we're going to start right here with President Zelenskyy. President Zelenskyy this weekend has been on a tour, rocking and rolling. He has been in France. He has been in Italy. He has met with the Pope. He has been with Scholz. He has been with Sunak in Great Britain. The bottom line, all positive meetings. Ukraine gaining more equipment that is promised to come over the next months in the war. Some will come sooner than later. Many things have unfolded, but solidarity, a coalition, and for the most part, very positive comments, especially by Scholz and Sunak. So, not to say Macron, he was positive. He was very positive for Ukraine as well as Italy. But Scholz and Sunak really stepping up to the plate. President Zelenskyy doing a great job representing Ukraine on that European stage. And we're going to see the results of that in the coming months. As long as Ukraine can hold out, stand strong, move into the counteroffensive phase, we shall see. So that's the title of the program tonight, the title of the update. Coalition is growing. No, they're not in NATO. No, they are not in the European Union, but the friendships are there. The friendships are there. Now, on the opposite side, we'll talk about this more in a moment. Actually, at the very end, John Kirby put out a statement today from the United States. This will push Russia the other way to grow their relations with nations such as Iran and China, and other things that President Putin has in his mind. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Bakhmut. Bakhmut is becoming not a counteroffensive. Make sure you're very clear about this. They are performing offensive operations, but this is not the massive counteroffensive. But Ukraine on the north and the south of Bakhmut is taking some territory. The photo you see there on the left is the commander of that region. His name is Alexander Syrsky. He is responsible for that entire region for the Ukrainian forces, and he was clear today in his statements here. We're taking some territory on the north. We're taking some territory on the south below Ivanivsky. Bakhmut remains very brutal for us. So the city limits of Bakhmut, the positions there have not changed. Russia still pushing very hard on that city. Ukraine trying to hold on. Every night, incendiary munitions. Every night, phosphorus is burning. They're trying to completely melt everything that is left to the ground. But on the north and the south, Russia is making some, or Ukraine rather, is making some good movements. Now, I have a video here actually from CNN. I tested it already. We're good to show it. Had this all checked out. You know, I've got to give kudos to CNN here. I've got to give kudos to this guy. Forget all of your politics. Forget all of your, especially if you're an American. And of course, CNN is completely international. In fact, in Europe and many regions of the world, Africa included, they have their own CNNs and lots of people watch it. Here in the United States, we have a very partisan view of the news, whether it's a Fox, a CNN, a MSNBC. Take all of that and put it out of your mind right now. This man does a great piece walking with and running some with the soldiers right on the front line, about 800 meters from Russian positions in Bakhmut. CNN, worth watching. If you want to know what Bakhmut looks like right now, this is it.
Guys, yes, Vietnam. Amid shell-smashed trees, Ukrainian troops figure out how to get us close to their new hard-won gains around Bakhmut.
Go behind me, distance 5 meters. He's going
at the rear.
last.
Okay. How far from the Russian lines here?
Closer, 800-900
meters. What lessons here about a much anticipated bigger Ukraine counter-offensive? You can see here how the ground is drying out, how wet it was before and how hard it would be for the armoured vehicles to get through. The battlefield is changing. Now summer's coming. And that's everything for the counter-offensive. So we have to go a bit faster here because they take a lot of incoming fire here. Thank you. Oh, nice one. If not for the war, it would be a lovely walk. Little cover here from shelling.
Go.
Little drone.
Drone.
We've just come in here. So we've heard a drone above, so we've got some cover in here. Hopefully it won't see us down here. Getting closer to the Russian lines. This trench, one of several, and a new minefield positioned to block Russian troops about 600 meters away from a counterattack. Out of sight, north and south of here, more Ukrainian troops advancing, building on the recent gains here. Ukraine's Western allies say that shaping operations for the big counteroffensive are already underway. Commanders here won't say if this is part of that counteroffensive, but the gains they've had around Bakhmut are a huge morale boost for Ukrainian troops. How does it feel to be in the battle now and to have actually, after all this time, taken more territory?
I love it. Actually, I love it because I'm with my family, with guys, that's my family.
But success, not all that's whetting appetite for victory. Mounting Russian atrocities, fueling anger.
We all just want to take our territory back and kill maximum possible Russians we can.
Do you think the Russians understand that?
No, I don't think so. They are going to get killed, all of them.
It's going to be a tough fight for you though.
Yeah, also. But we are ready for this. It's our land.
As we leave, there are more explosions. Then this.
Run!
We don't ask, we just run and keep running. We're hearing a drone, so we're running. They've got their armoured troop transporter ready. Yeah, getting back in now. Drones overhead, more artillery coming. It's ancient Soviet equipment, more modern NATO armour, busy elsewhere on the battlefield. There's going to be months and months and months, if not years, of warfare like this, grindingly taking back all those lost miles. Nick Robertson, CNN, Eastern Ukraine.
Well, folks, there you have it. That is a beautiful piece of journalism done by Nick Robertson there from CNN. That is it. That's the look. That's the trenches. That's the netting. That's walking with soldiers. And then they tell you, run, you run. Zhenya and I both have experienced all of that. But that view right there showing you exactly what Bakhmut looks like. It's telling what the terrain looks like, the wet, the dry, the... Did you notice the level of English of the Ukrainian soldiers? It was very, very high level, and giving their viewpoints. This war is going to be very, very difficult over this summer. I know there's lots of anticipation, excitement, and rightly so about the offensive that I believe is already underway, but officially coming. But make no mistake about it, it's going to be very brutal. And I'm going to share some of that with you in just a moment. But that right there, kudos to that gentleman. Powerful piece there in Bakhmut. Now, I want to jump over to Khmelnytskyi. Of course, this is our home region. This is our home city. Our city would be right in the middle, basically, of that red region outline. This is the home of Zhenya. This is the home of our team, our nonprofit, everything. And from there, we work and support all of the front lines throughout Ukraine. Khmelnytskyi this weekend was hit, and probably the largest explosion, or equal to that of the largest explosions that have happened in the war. All public knowledge now. Locations were all public, so we're good to show it. We lost 30 folks, many wounded. Buildings that we know destroyed, damaged. People, families we know destroyed. This one was personal. This was local. This is, you know, if you're here and part of this community and you support us and the work, and you get your information in regard to the war through us, this one is your home zone, your home region. And I'm going to show the explosion in Khmelnytskyi. There was 2 explosions. There was multiple explosions. There was 9 hits. In fact, what happened on Saturday night, I was sitting here doing some work, and then all of a sudden, all of my devices started blowing up. All of my friends in Khmelnytskyi messaging me saying, man, we're being hit, and this is not a joke. We're being hit, and this is not a joke. Greg, another explosion. Greg, this huge fireball. Greg, we're in trouble. Boom, boom, boom, boom. And it was for hours as the strikes rained down on Khmelnytskyi. Now, here's video, all approved to see as of now, because we're after the fact, and Russia has all this video as well. So here it is. This was the strikes in Khmelnytskyi. I can tell you it was a military resource location that was hit. All public information. Massive explosion. Unfortunately now, radiation levels are rising in Khmelnytskyi region. They've put out an alert today about that. So it even brings in speculation that maybe this is where some of the spent uranium shells that have come into Ukraine from Great Britain are being stored. I don't know. For Russia to know this location, of course, there's collaboration. There is spies. It's a very ugly war. Many, of course, can speak the same language, can look the same. It's not like, you know, just say it clearly. It's not like an English-speaking nation fighting against a Japanese-speaking nation, for example. Yes, Ukrainian and Russian, but they all speak Russian. So it's a challenge, but for sure they had inside information here. Here is the explosions in our home city. Explosion. You can already see the other places burning. We're just talking about a massive, massive explosion. One of the churches we work with was damaged. There goes explosion number 2. Happened at 6:10 a.m. Actually started through the night. These were some of the later explosions. Just massive, massive explosions there. So we're keeping our eye, of course. I talk to my guys in Khmelnytskyi every day, multiple times throughout the day, and we support our local town there. Thankfully, none of the personal people connected to what we do lost their lives. So thankful for that. Now, that brings into play here Moldova. Coming out this weekend, we now know that, remember that Transnistria region right there, that's the Arn region between Moldova and Ukraine. We now know that there were launches from the Transnistria region. This changes the game plan. We've already heard a week ago, we were sharing with you, Ukraine's watching the Transnistria much closer. They've got troops over there. Those guys in Tiraspol are requesting more Russian supplies and Russian soldiers. And now over the weekend, we're getting information that strikes were actually coming out of the Transnistria region. This will and is a game changer for Ukraine. They have to pay much more attention, and it brings the likelihood of skirmishes here in Transnistria much higher. Basically, our second home city is Kherson, where we base out of and do lots and lots of work. Other than that, our third main place that we base out of would be Kramatorsk, Slavyansk, Konstantinivka, serving the Bakhmut region. But Kherson, our other region, university struck today. The main university struck today. Civilian target, destroyed it. Here's some footage coming out from the regional administration of Kherson, showing the damage. You can still see the building smoking as the guys were cleaning it up. So that right there, of course, you could see in the upper right hand, even if you can't read it, I can tell you what it says. It was from the regional administration government putting out the footage saying this is what happened in Kherson. So you've had the massive strikes in Khmelnytskyi, you've had massive strikes in Ternopil, and you've had massive strikes in Kherson. Of course, Kherson is struck massively every day. We've had massive strikes in Slavyansk on the east. We've had strikes in Lviv. We've had strikes in Kyiv. Russia is reaching out with these drones and S-300s and missiles. Why? Because Ukraine is pushing back. We're seeing it, and this could be an indication that the war is going to escalate even further, and there's no doubt that it is going to. Now, talking about coalitions being built, and at the beginning of the update showed you an image, Ukraine, President Zelenskyy today, returning home to Ukraine today, but over the weekend had been with Great Britain and France and Italy and Germany, and all these great things were happening. Well, the reports came out from southern Ukraine, and this is not reports from Russia. This is Ukrainian reporting and giving the update that there are up to 152,000 soldiers in only Kherson and Zaporozhye regions. This does not include Donetsk and Lugansk regions. So if you were to look here, basically from this line here around to here, 152,000 Russian soldiers. And then in this region here, there's probably up to another 150 to 200,000 Russian soldiers. We know that their numbers are about 300,000 to 400,000 boots on the ground in these frontline areas. So Russia is continuing to push their soldiers in. Yes, we've got absolute chaos going on between Prigozhin, the Wagner. Listen, folks, don't worry about the Wagner. It's games. It's soap operas. It's money. It's power. But the Wagner is not the Russian army. They're a private army. Yes, they're working for it, but do not get your information from Prigozhin or the Wagner. Let's just leave it at that, because it's nothing but a soap opera. It's As the World Turns in General Hospital. It's a part of the game that they play. So make no mistake about it. There's plenty of soldiers there. That is why Zelenskyy is steadfast on building the coalition more and more. Ukraine knows what is behind those enemy lines. And those enemy lines know what is coming their way. So we're either going to see Russia pull out, or we're going to see an escalation of this war. There's no other option. And with all the missiles raining down this weekend, the drones raining down, no indication that there's going to be anything other than an escalation. Now, here is a meme going around, and it shows President Zelenskyy there with Sunak, and they're in a plane, had their helmets on, and they're laughing and smiling. Of course, there's memes everywhere in the world. This is how the world communicates in this new and modern day. This is the meme. This is the image, because Great Britain supplying the Storm Shadow missiles confirmed. this changes the war outlook for Ukraine. This changes how Russia will have to respond. This graphic gives you a little better image. Standard range and reach for these Storm Shadow missiles is 300 kilometers. You can see the outline of Ukraine there under the missile with Kyiv, Ukraine in the shadowy gray. And then actually the region of Ukraine reaches over into the light purple with Lugansk and Donetsk there and down south all the way to Crimea. But these Storm Shadow missiles give Ukraine the possibility to reach not only their occupied territory behind the lines, Russian positions, but also deep into Russia. No, they cannot reach Moscow. They can reach Minsk, Belarus. They can reach Rostov-on-Don. They can reach Sevastopol and many other important cities such as Kursk and Belgrade, all of these places. But this has sent shockwaves through Russia and Belarus. You know, many strikes have been happening here in Lugansk over the last couple of days. And Russia wondering, the world is wondering, well, is this the Storm Shadow missiles? Is this the Shadow missiles? Have no confirmation of that. In fact, I've heard that it was not, that the strikes in Lugansk have actually come out of that Kramatorsk, Slavyansk area somewhere. But who knows? Probably we will never know. However, Lugansk being hit, Ukraine definitely has these missiles now in place and in position. It's changing the war. One of the places it's changing the war is right here, Lukashenko and Belarus. Now, you've probably seen it on your headlines over the weekend, maybe not, but most likely Lukashenko went AWOL since the 9th of May. Many people suggesting he was ill, sick, poisoned. Let the rumors fly. We do not address rumors. We now have an update. You can see the zoomed in picture there with a brace on his right hand. This is at the Victory Day celebration. He looked ill. He looked weak. He is ill. He is weak. He's not been poisoned. He has a heart condition that flared up on him. It causes everything to get out of order, joints to ache, lungs not to function right, hoarse voice, all of these things. And I can't remember exactly what it's called, and I'm not a doctor, but heart condition sprang up, which he's already had. It kicked in, just very poor timing. So today, May the 15th, is the first day that Lukashenko actually showed back up in public. Today, here he is, of course, a little red in the face, weak. I actually have a video of him. I'm going to play it. Didn't need to translate it. I just wanted you to hear how he's talking. Because of the Storm Shadow missiles, I'll take you back now to this graphic. Because of this update, in addition to the Ukrainian arsenal, now Belarus has moved to high alert for air raids. We were talking about this a few days ago. They have put in air raid warning signals. They have moved tanks to the border. They now are running air drills and response drills. Lukashenko is overseeing it. Belarus moving more to a war posture. Remember, this is after a month ago, Lukashenko saying we need to have peace. You can trust nothing Lukashenko says. He's nothing but a puppet for the Kremlin. You can also trust equally nothing Prigozhin says. You have to pay attention to what is coming out of what you see. That's it. Not words, but deeds. You can't trust the Kremlin. You can't trust Putin. You can't trust Lavrov. Nothing. What you can trust is what you see. And what we've seen is missiles raining down all over Ukraine all weekend and Belarus coming to a war posture position. So now, a couple of things. We know that Lukashenko is A, alive, B, having heart issues, heart conditions. You can see the wrap now on his left hand. He's got joint issues coming from this. And I also have a video of Belarus going through drills. And of course, when you are a dictator, just like Kim Jong-un, and drills happen, you, as the supreme commander, you sit there, you give the go command, you oversee it, you inspect it. Well, little bit of video for that. Not worried about the translation. I'll translate it, but we're just watching a few seconds. Listen to his voice. I have played you guys enough of Lukashenko over 446 days. You know what his voice sounds like. Strong, robust, kind of raspy. He tries to use humor and joke and forceful. Well, here he is today. This is today, going through the drills for air attacks, air defenses. Here it is.
Без великих докладов давайте посмотрим на то, что происходит вокруг нашей
So listen to
страны,
the weakness in the
прежде
voice.
всего в воздухе.
He's saying
Я так
we're
понимаю,
seeing
это
what is
режим реального
unfolding,
времени
we've seen
такой,
what's in place, so now we have to prepare
Мы
ourselves to be ready.
очень часто обсуждаем вопросы безопасности нашего государства, особенно
We have
в
to watch out
воздушном
for the dangers
пространстве.
and be careful what's going on. But just
Ну,
look at him.
как я
Listen.
вижу, сейчас
This is what
обстановка у
I'm
нас
seeing right
не
now.
критическая, но тем не менее факторы настораживающие.
These are the
Повышенная
facts that we're
боевая
seeing
готовность, о
unfold.
которой
So
я
you notice
говорил,
he's not moving,
войска уже находятся в
he's
течение
not doing anything,
4
to be
суток
quite
или
honest.
3.
But he is alive. He is there. But quite interesting there with Lukashenko. So, coalition growing for Ukraine. Great Britain, France, Germany, Italy, U.S. Coalition will grow for Russia, Belarus, China, Iran. How else is it going to grow? Very interesting right here. Today, I'll give you this. You can see it on the right side, written from the Kremlin. It has the official stamp, signed right there. It looks like a B to you, but it's a V. V. Putin, Vladimir Putin, 15th of May, 2023. This is a declaration that Russia is now forming a foreign legion for this war. Let me repeat that. Officially, as of May the 15th, Russia is forming a foreign legion, meaning any nation you are in, and this is the official document, my friends, any nation you are in, if you would like to come and join a foreign legion to fight for Russia, you will be granted immediately Russian citizenship with a passport, a generous salary, and the ability to live in Russia, take care of your family in Russia, move to Russia. Russia officially forming today Foreign Legion with all of these benefits. We see Russia trying to answer, build coalition, bring more people in from around the world. You may say, well, who on earth would do that? Lots of people would. Lots of people would. There are a lot of soldiers out there that are from foreign nations, Middle Eastern nations, Asian nations, African nations that live in very horrible conditions with no salary, no hope for a future for their family. All of a sudden, this becomes public. And of course, they will advertise like crazy throughout these nations. They will advertise like crazy throughout Africa and throughout Asia, Central Asia. Come, have a future. Join the Russian Foreign Legion. Have a passport that's Russian. Have a salary. Have a place for your family. Have a hope for the future. It may surprise you, to be honest, what would come from this. We shall see. Now, last couple of things on the national front. We need to continue paying attention to the elections in Turkey. Why? We talked about this on Friday. Turkish election phase 1 was yesterday, the 14th of May. If Erdogan had won 50% of the vote, the election would have been over. It was projected that he would not. We talked about that on Friday. Then it happened, and he did not. He won 49.24. And the gentleman there with the red we were talking about, Kilis Daroglu, 45.06%, 23 million votes, almost 24, 26 for Erdogan. On Patreon this weekend, I had posted a video of Erdogan actually handing out money to children at a polling place. Very interesting how they do elections there in Turkey. and then these other two guys. So now Turkey will move to the 28th for a runoff. At that point, the next president will be determined. Will Erdogan stay in power, or will Kılıçdaroğlu come into power? There is enough leeway there if all of İnce and Ogan, if their votes push to Kılıçdaroğlu. Most likely not, just statistically speaking, but it's possible. Maybe the 28th, people change their mind. I don't know. It's neck and neck. This election will affect many things in the world. I put some flags here on the graphic. It's going to affect Ukraine, of course. It's going to affect Russia. It's going to affect Iran, Israel, United States, NATO, the entire Middle East region, Syria, and the list goes on. Turkey, a powerful nation, right there in the middle of everything. Now, you may be asking, okay, PG, who needs to win this for the best? Well, here's what I can tell you. Erdogan has sat on the fence, and there is, it is a fact that his opponent, Kılıçdaroğlu, is more pro-West, pro-NATO, anti-Kremlin than Erdogan. So, if you're looking for a relationship that would be better for Europe, better for Ukraine, better for the United States, better for maybe a little bit more truth and help, then you definitely want Erdogan to lose. If Erdogan wins, we'll probably get much of the same. So we shall see. Wherever you're at, you make your decision, but it would be better for all parties involved if Erdogan was unseated as the president. Finally today, actually two last things I'm going to give you. John Kirby coming out today, once again, talking about these coalitions. That's what we started the stream with. It's what we end the stream with tonight. Russia and Iran has significantly expanded their defense cooperation. According to John Kirby, according to him, the United States see an increasing number of signs of expansion of cooperation between Russia and Iran. That would even include Belarus, to be quite honest with you, with the drone factory coming there at the Gostomel radio factory. This partnership will help Moscow continue the war in Ukraine and will also pose a threat to Iran's neighbors. This weekend, Su-35 airplanes, jets were delivered to Tehran. This partnership is in full swing. This is why this Turkish election is important. This is why the counteroffensive is important. This is why it's important even that Zelenskyy over the weekend had great meetings there in Europe. It's why it's important that leaders stand up and stand for what is right. So we see this happening. We see a divided world more and more every day. And of course, the number one superpower still, the United States, not doing much to give a bold voice. Yes, lots of money, lots of promises, lots of equipment, but no leadership. It reminds me of like a sports team, okay? Remember all the years that the New York Yankees, for example, had the best lineups, like in the 90s. They were loaded, but they couldn't win. Could not win the World Series. Why? They didn't have the chemistry. Other teams would jump up, surprise them, beat them. Think about that in whatever sports you like. You know, you can load a team with superstars, but if they do not have the chemistry, they don't have that leadership voice, they don't have a voice that will inspire. You know, you think about the great, and stay in the NBA, Chicago Bulls teams of the 90s, led by the greatest basketball player to ever lace them up, Michael Jordan. He didn't have the best players, folks. Yes, Scottie Pippen, amazing. Yes, Dennis Rodman served his purposes before he lost his mind and went to North Korea. Michael Jordan was a powerful leader, and he inspired those around him to greatness. This is what is needed right now, and President Zelenskyy is trying to do it. This is what is needed for Ukraine to win this war and for this world to come to a place that is more stable and just and peaceful. We shall see. Finally, I'll give you a little smile tonight. You know, usually I show you Solovyov 2-3 times a week, maybe once a week, translate it, where he's ranting and raving and screaming and hollering, talking about the Russian position, talking about we need to do this to Berlin and do this to London and do this to Washington, and we're going to destroy this and destroy that. Well, today on his program, he changed his tune. Completely different soap opera. And I thought it would be interesting just for you guys tonight as we close out, seeing a different side. He turns on the tears, lamenting the death of a Russian soldier. Here's the drama. I'll translate it for you real time.
Я не знаю,
I don't know.
получит ли он посмертно героя. Не мне
I
решать.
don't know about after death awards for soldiers.
Но он точно,
But definitely
герой.
he was a hero.
У украинцев такого практически не бывает.
Ukrainian technically has no heroes. Just us. Little different view of Solovyev tonight. I guess that's what happened when a counteroffensive is just warned about. You get a punch in the mouth in Bakhmut. We'll see what happens. That's where we're at, folks. As of the moment, let me look down here right now before we close out tonight. Checking everything. There was an air alarm throughout Ukraine a few hours ago, but it ended, and that was all of Ukraine. That's because they put the big missile, the big bombers in the air, but they landed them. No strikes recorded. And as of right now, everything is clean. So thank you. Thank you for being here on day 446. We'll be back in 48 hours unless something changes earlier. Feel free. Like, subscribe, comment, donate at our secure giving link there through our church in the description. And I encourage you, join the Patreon. Everybody in there loves it. Cost you 1 cup of coffee a month, and all of that goes to Ukraine. But you get to see all kind of crazy stuff I put in there. So you guys be blessed, and we'll see you in 48 hours, if not before. Have a good night.